Hi, my audience. I'm so thrilled to share a wonderful guest today because this guest is the best and the apt one for family violence awareness because her life is dedicated to that specific topic. Let me welcome Dr. Manjula O'Connor to my show. Welcome, Manjula.
Thank you, Bisme. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So I really want to start to ask many different questions about family violence before going to our series special questions like spreading love, joy, and peace and motherhood, all those ones. Because I know that Dr. Manjula O'Connor is an Australian name for family violence awareness, and you started this for from a long time. I know that you have roots from India, but in Australia, you are the voice of family violence awareness. So, can you share with us how did you start your journey, or why did you do that?
It was quite an accident, actually.
Mhm.
So, what happened was that in 2005, I was invited to do a speech on suicide amongst Indian women.
Mhm.
And the reason being that Indian women have the highest suicide rate in the world.
Mhm.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I heard that because in Australia it is men, not women. Yeah.
Correct. But in India also, where men have a higher suicide rate than women, that's the case across the whole world.
Mm.
But uh, when you compare women across the world, just women's data,
Mm.
then Indian women is amongst the highest in the world.
Mm.
And they used to be Chinese as well.
Yeah.
But, but in the last 10 years, the Chinese data have come down and down and down and down. But the Indian women has remained about, it came down a little bit from 14 per 100,000 to 12, 11, 12 per 100,000.
Mhm.
But in, and in Australia, the women's rate is about 5.6 per 100,000.
Mm.
See the comparison? It,
Yeah, that's a great that great I would say that the way that you're looking at it, why that Indian women is having that higher rate. So I was thinking it's a great observation. Yeah.
and that the the question, when I found that, I did not know much about why the suicide rate was so high. And
Mhm.
when I started to do my research for the talk, I came across a book written by Professor Amartya Sen.
Mhm.
He is a Nobel Prize winning Indian economist, and he lives in, usually he used to be in London, but now he may be in USA.
Mhm.
Um, and he wrote about the concept of missing women of India.
Okay.
Yeah, what that means is that he was talking about women who should be alive today but are not there because they have been eliminated,
Mm.
meaning
Yeah.
killed, right? So he started counting how the women were eliminated from the womb. So, female
Mm.
selective actions
Yeah.
to infanticide for female babies in particular being killed,
Mhm.
and then dowry murders
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah.
and domestic violence related deaths, and then widows
Widows.
being,
Okay.
you know, uh, tormented and treated badly that they end up taking their life, sort of thing.
Mm.
So it was an eye opener for me because, in 2005, and, I grew up in Delhi. I grew up in the southern, South Delhi, which is a fairly, affluent suburbs of
Mm.
India. And I felt so ashamed and embarrassed that I did not know anything about this, because you know how you brought up in India that you only know a little bit about your own family and your own circle. You don't know about public issues.
Yeah.
People don't discuss
Yeah,
public
that's
health.
a small heaven that you think you are perfect, everything is fine. Yeah, that's right.
And that's how I was brought up. And we are never brought up to think about what our servants are going through
Mm.
and what their life could be like. And so when I read that, I seriously was very ashamed and embarrassed about my lack of awareness and
Mm.
knowledge about how people in India, women in India, are suffering. And I live here in luxury, and it's such a guilt feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 2005 we are talking
Uh-huh.
about. So I then decided, okay, I'm going to connect with India because I lived here for so long and I married into Australian culture that I
Mm-hmm.
had lost more or less connection with my heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, except my own family, I did not know much about Indian, culture, what's happening in India.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go and teach in India and also learn about Hindi and learn about how people, especially amongst lower middle class and lower socioeconomic class, how they are living.
Mm-hmm.
And I also joined hands with the Center for Social Research in Delhi. They are a pretty strong organization run by Dr. Ranjana Kumari.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually a global name, and she was at the time working on male to female ratio of Australia, which was very, very high
Mm-hmm.
for men. Like in Delhi and Haryana, there's 770 women for 1,000 men,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
when it should be 1,001 women to 1,000 men,
Thousand. Mm.
which is the case in other countries. And this was in 2005. And guess what it is today?
Mm.
Not much different.
Same. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Not much different.
Yeah. India is
Some,
developing, but the statistics is same, right?
some places the rate has come down, but in Delhi and Haryana and Punjab, it's not.
Mm.
And when I started to look at domestic violence statistics, it was quite amazing to find that in some parts of India, it's 52% of women, of households, where there
Okay.
is domestic violence. But not everywhere. Like in Delhi, I think the rate is about 16%, they said.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe it. This was according to the National Family Health Survey that came out in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So they said it's coming down. It has definitely come down a bit in the
Mm-hmm.
last 10 years. And there is no doubt about it that social, economic stressors, financial stressors add to domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
just like alcohol and drugs do. But the most major reason for domestic violence is two things. One is the gender inequity or gender inequality in control of resources and money and decision
Mm-hmm.
making. And the second is control and power. Who has the power,
Exactly. Mm.
right? Because in our extended families, the power belongs to the husband,
Mm-hmm.
his father, his brother,
Yeah.
and then the mother in law
Yeah.
and the sister in law.
That's where the law comes into play, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so what you find is that the daughter in law who comes into the family
Mm.
is almost always the outsider.
Yeah.
and the lowest in the rung of power.
Yeah, and they won't get any distinguished positions or even no voice for anything in the family.
Yeah. And so they are effectively trapped because they can't go back home to their parents
Mm.
because the parents have, given away their daughter.
Mm. Yeah. I think that is what happening not just in North India, Manjula. It's in whole, I would say, in Asian area, especially in India, even South India also. The dowry is still going there, even though there is a law that we can't do it. But now the dowry's new name is gift, so it's happening a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
so impressed that you've gone back to India and learned all these things, and then you empowering people back in Australia.
Yeah.
So and then you got an organization now that helping
Yeah.
people. So can you
Yeah.
share with us how did you start that one, and then what was the initial stages of those
Yeah.
organizations?
So, so I started work. Excuse me. I started the organization in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but before that, I worked briefly at the Australia India Society of Victoria.
Mm.
And when I started to speak about domestic violence in the media,
Mm.
um, I was effectively told to be quiet. And suddenly from being the um, most influential voice on the board,
Mm.
I was sidelined.
Okay.
And when I said I resign, um, and then I thought, no, I won't resign. I will stay and work.
Mm.
He said, no, you can't come back now. So,
Okay.
so that was in 2012. So
Mm.
started my own organization called the Australasian Center for Human Rights and Health.
Mm-hmm.
So we put in the human rights for domestic violence and
Mm.
health because domestic violence gives rise to so much mental health.
Mm.
And because being a psychiatrist, I wanted to, also bring mental health education to the
Yeah.
community. So, so I founded that with my partner, husband, Dr. Jonathan Harrison, and another friend.
Mm-hmm.
So we co-founded the organization,
Mm-hmm.
and we now have a board of very influential 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so the board is responsible for the, economic and other strategy directions of
Yeah.
our organization. And so I basically am the executive director, and research. So I create programs, we
Mm-hmm.
apply for funding,
Mm-hmm.
and then we um, do the projects, but we also do research at the same time. So
Okay.
every single project we have, we will collect data on it
Mm-hmm.
as so we can publish them as research papers.
Yeah. Okay.
So which means that information that we collect from the community doesn't get wasted and sits there somewhere hidden. It's in published in journals, so people
Mm.
can use it for
Yeah.
advocacy and things like that.
That's a very good way of doing it because at the moment, whatever we're doing, it's just going like a hype in the media, social media, and it's gone. But if you're putting that in a journal, it's there for the next generation or not like next person coming in and doing stuff. So that's really good way of putting your academic interest over there. That's really good way. I would really love to check with you about the programs that you're doing through the organization because I can see different programs are running under that banner. and I was fortunate to have, an opportunity to attend a couple of your programs, and finding out that's very much going into your heart, because what you're saying is many of other people's reality. So can you share about the programs that you have? Yeah.
Yeah. So the one running that I did with you is called the Mutual Relational Respect Workshop.
Yeah.
And so they are funded by the Commonwealth Government Department of Social Services for the last 5 years.
Okay.
And so we've been, every year we keep getting extension. So this is now our last year. So they have not extended it now. So we got it for 5 years.
Yeah.
And we, that workshop is about using real life stories with changed names and everything, so people can't recognize them, to help people discuss those stories to understand, firstly, what's the nature of domestic violence? What does coercive control look like?
Yeah.
And where does it start? Like, how does it begin? Like, what are the reasons we have domestic violence? So, as I said before, it is about inequality between men and women. So, it's about patriarchy, dominance, and about control and power in the family. And so, our stories try to help people understand how that mindset begins in children, with how people bring up their children, parenting skills. And then we also have another story in there, which unfortunately is so true, but very unpopular. And that is that often men coming from countries that are not well developed financially and economically to Australia find the women over here little bit hard to understand. In fact, very hard to understand, because women are wearing short skirts. They are friendly to men. They're confident. They speak openly. And they smile. So sometimes men get confused about what that actually means. Does it mean it's a sexual come on? And in that situation, many and unwanted sexual assaults are happening. And the judges and the magistrates have said that to me before. And they have asked me that, they have said to me, why don't you have more education programs around that?
Yeah.
So we are that, and that's one of the things we talk about, but it's very unpopular because we're not targeting anyone, but sometimes people can feel
get picked up with that. Yeah.
So basically, we bring out those kind of stories that are happening currently to, and so one of the other projects that we are doing is using theater as of helping to create plays, skits that also explore these stories in depth and present that to the audience. The audience then invite the audience to comment on what they see on the stage.
Yeah.
What solutions they would like. So the dowry abuse, the government asked us to do a particular one on dowry abuse because we have a legislation in Victoria that no one can demand or extort money or gold or gifts in the context of a marriage.
Yeah. Okay.
that would be called domestic violence.
Okay, yeah. I think we're reviewing that as well, right? Because people are thinking that that's not a law, so it doesn't matter. But I heard that we are reviewing that dowry law these days. Yeah.
It is a law. It's in
Yeah.
law.
Okay, yeah.
It's in Victorian law.
Yeah, okay.
It's
But I think smart Indians are not keeping that law at all. Yes.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So we had one of those skits. Then we have, and the skit shows how the dowry is being demanded. Like, what are the tactics people use? What are the
Yeah.
tricks
Mm.
so that it doesn't look like dowry demand?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Maybe the deposit to the new home, all those things, right? Okay.
Correct, correct.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Get me money to buy Tesla or
Hmm. All different. Yeah. Okay. A physical benefit, but it's a matter of grabbing that through
yeah,
that,
yeah,
okay, label. That's
yeah.
interesting to know. Yeah.
And that
Okay. Mhm.
and the second skit is about uh, people who come here as students and then become residents,
Yeah.
and how much pressure they have to send money back home
Yeah.
to pay the loan,
Hmm.
but also for greed. And
Yeah.
it puts a lot of pressure on the family, on his own wife and children here,
Hmm.
but it's not considered legitimate pressure.
Hmm.
The family back home is far more important
Yeah.
than the marriage, which then gives rise to, you know, domestic
Yeah.
violence.
It's a sad thing that, like, sending a student with all these home loan, but at the same time, they taking that as like the milking cow process. Like, you need to do everything because I have done this for you. So now you look after the whole family back in India. And then that's a terrible situation in current Australia because, like, looking at the people who were students and now in a working environment, but they have that huge burden of
Yeah,
looking after the family. But at the
yeah,
same time, I think it's more of like that status because you're an Australian Indian. That means you have huge money that
yeah.
you can you know send to us because India is developing, so we don't have money. So that's the impression for everyone. Yeah.
Yes. And this is where it's so important for people to tell the truth to their families
Mm.
and not fall for the lies and for appearances that
Mm.
I am a general manager of a big company. I'm making $400,000 a year. I have a big house. I have a big car. And then they say, okay, then give us some of your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of saying, look, I only earn 75,000 a year. That's barely enough to cover our costs because Australia is so expensive.
That's the thing. Everyone is not mentioning that. Whatever coming, it's actually going.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And so how can you afford to send $500 or $1,000 every month to your
Mm.
family back home?
Yeah.
And that's the truth that unfortunately we are not brought up to speak the truth. We are more
Mm.
brought up to keep up the social fake appearance.
That- That's the truth. That's what happening a lot in our community. And even like, just thinking about our last incident happened in Point Cook, and then we were hearing that the parents back in India, it's sort of like thinking about the dowry conversations happening in behind the scene as well. So whatever we do here and showcasing that how good we are, like there is an element always back in India and connecting to trigger many incidents. So
Yeah.
you are doing that as actually a drama and then showcasing.
So we have now, we were funded for 2.5 years, and
Yep.
then but we also got money to make a film out of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So we are now in the process of editing and making a documentary film out of it, which we will love to play with you
Yeah.
once we completed.
Yes.
And we are hoping to make the mind-blowing films. People will screen it at the Indian Film Festival.
Okay. Yeah.
So that when you do a play, you only can have 50 people in the audience,
Yeah.
but this will reach thousands.
Exactly. Yeah. So you got real good, wonderful projects. And then I know that you have so many passionate people behind it and doing their, support through volunteering through this organization. So I would really love to, tell my listeners, if you are interested or if you're coming out of this trauma and find out more, that's the place that you can go and then experience what's the real power of going through and then talking about that trauma outside that box and thinking what should be the reality and what is happening, what should be the right way of doing, because you are clearly showing this is the happy ending or this is the reality ending. So that's a good way of seeing that. So we are really looking forward to that documentary coming and then figuring out this is the true colors of current Indian Australian here back in Australia.
It's a genuine community voice, and it seeks to find community-based solutions.
Yeah.
And that as many people as possible should see it, that documentary.
We will be definitely premiering that to the audience, Manjula, because we need those community voice. Yeah. So just taking a pause on that family violence initiative that you have done, but I want to come back to your own family. Like, how do you describe your family, your life, and then, what are the good things that you're doing to keep up your energy all the time?
Yeah, so my daughter is grown up and married, and she lives in Sydney. And I have two beautiful little grandkids.
Yeah.
But we see them barely once every 3 months.
Yeah.
Because everyone is so busy, and kids go to school, and mother works, father works, so we all work. And when can you match your dowry, kind of thing, But the point about the family is that we're always there for each other when there is a problem.
Yes.
That you can share good times, but it's much more valuable if you can be there to support your family. They need you. And even if I haven't spoken to my daughters, Seema, for 3 months, we can pick up the phone and left off, like, it's so natural, like nothing ever.
Yeah.
Gap is not there.
I think she must be seeing you from everywhere because you're making news every now and then anyway. So that's great.
So and the kids, my grandkids, they also have written stories about me for their schoolwork.
Oh, okay.
That was a very proud moment for me,
Yeah, so that's great because they're seeing the value in what you're doing, which is great because that's the generation coming into play soon anyway. Yeah, that's a great way that they're showing the gratitude towards you. That's my question was that, like, as a mother or a grandmother, what's the proud moment that you keep close to your heart? I would say that is one of your proud moment that your grandkids are creating books about grandma. So she's an influencer. She is making changes in Australia. That's a great moment for you. Yeah. Is there any other moments that you still keep close to your heart?
So, there are so many. So, like, we just now had a family holiday in Trivandrum
Oh,
at,
our own country, God's own country.
yeah, it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we were, four of them, two of us, six, and my sister and my niece came from Delhi. So
Mm-hmm.
we had eight people as
Yeah.
1 week together. It is just the most amazing place to have a holiday. Please, everybody go.
I can see your background, the houseboat. So we were in the houseboats anyway, like enjoying that beautiful place, right? So that is a best place, and I'm so glad that I'm from that place and enjoy that green all the time. But thinking about um the family violence percentage and statistics, it's actually growing from that area as well. That's really unfortunate. So yeah, I can see that when you talk about your holidays, I can see that really energized you because of
Yeah,
that.
it was so good. I was able to go snorkeling. The water
Oh,
there is so
okay,
warm, so beautiful.
okay.
And I went snorkeling, and there was so much fish, not so much coral. The
Uh-huh.
the coral is all bleached and like stone, but
Hmm.
the fish is plentiful and lots of colors and lots of different varieties. Bit like the one in Barrier Reef, they were not that different.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it was very good. It was just,
That's news to me. That's in Kerala, you can do the snorkeling.
oh yeah,
That's okay. That's good. Good.
yeah, it's
The
very good.
tourism is helping us to know all the deep areas of our own place. That's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
yeah, okay. So you must have done a good time over there with the family. So my other question to all the mothers in this series, how do you keep the peace in you? Because looking after kids in your case, they're grown up, but again, you looking after your work at the same time, all this organization, and you're doing lots of speaking activities. And I know that whatever happens in this violence area, the community and the news is actually coming to you for your response. So the reporters are actually coming. So it's like a very busy time for you every now and then. How do you keep peace within you? What is the top three secrets?
Yep, yeah. So the most important thing is that I don't worry about things.
Hmm.
I just do whatever I need to do with most honesty
Hmm.
and integrity. So I try to be on the right side of my own ethics and morals,
Yeah.
and that people out there say terrible things about me.
Hmm.
She's a bully, controller. Everything she does is for self publicity. Dowry is fake.
Hmm.
Um, or I don't know, whatever. Oh, she's a divorce queen. That's another one I heard. She's a divorce queen.
Uh-huh.
Right. Now that one was really surprising. Okay, how am I a divorce queen? Tell me. You
Mm.
know the women who come to see me are the victims of serious domestic violence
Yes.
because the mental health of these people is affected only when the domestic violence is severe, moderate to
Mm.
severe, and that's been going on for a long time. That's when the
Yeah.
women suffer panic attacks and they have post-traumatic stress disorder and they suffer
Mm.
depressive illness and they stop eating and they lose weight and they don't sleep
Mm.
and their life is at risk. They're anemic. They often have not enough iron in their food to
Mm.
make them not anemic. How am I causing the divorce here? What they want me to do is to send them back to the men so they can get
Ah.
you right.
I
So
know I can clearly resonate with what you were sharing because It's I would say it's an enemy to our reality, because everyone thinks that whatever when we empower women, we are pushing them to divorce. But it's a myth. I would say it's all the other side of the, this is sort of like an empowerment. So if you feel like, if my partner is empowered, I may go down. That's what they feel. They don't think that like it's a partnership. And if
Yeah.
you both are empowered, you are getting more rather than you are not breaking it. But
Yeah.
I think why these people are not getting that. I always think that,
Yeah.
Manjula, because
So one of my patients told me that her husband said to her, "I'm a man,
hmm,
and therefore I'm the one who will rule the house, and that I will make all the decisions because you are just a woman.
hmm,
And if I slap you,
you
that's
had
my
to,
that's what I feel like doing. I will do. And if I tell you to get up and cook for me in the middle of the night, you will do that.
yeah,
And that is my
my
prerogative because
right, my
that's
right.
my right, because that's what God meant it to happen.
Yeah, and they got all the versions from Holy Bible, Quran, and all holy books, right?
That is what God meant to happen. So then when you look at all the same things that they are looking at, nowhere does it say that you should not respect your women as your equal. In Hinduism, every god is incomplete without a goddess.
Hmm.
In Christianity, Jesus Christ made Magdalene the
Hmm.
very first disciple. It was only after him that all these religious leaders started to burn women at the stake.
Mm-hmm.
They were called witches, and they were burnt in
Mm-hmm.
from second, third century up to right up to eighth, ninth century.
These people are not really reading Holy Bible, because they're clearly showing to show the respect
They,
to
in
women.
the
Yeah,
end, in the end, it's all about power.
yeah, that's right. Hmm.
And so then you have to ask yourself, do you feel any sense of humanity and respect for other humans, or
Hmm.
is it all about you?
Hmm.
Is it all about you? Do you ever realize if the same was done to you by your boss at work, how would that make you feel?
Hmm.
How would that make you feel if your boss abuses his power over you and slaps you and tells you, if I kick you, you will take that?
Hmm.
That is the point, people. And that's what's called empathy, compassion, putting yourself in someone else's shoes to understand that they are a human.
Hmm.
They, if they are working and they are contributing where they are deserving of equal respect, most of these women are working, they produce babies, which gives the family an on continuity.
Hmm.
These women are cooking, cleaning, and is it and if they're not getting respect and recognition, is it a surprise that Indian women have the highest suicide rate in the world?
Hmm.
It's no surprise. Do we want to kill our women? Is that what we are about? If there are
Yeah.
no women, there are no children, there's no families.
Yeah. They're simply using women only for that reproductive area. I think sometimes I feel that that's the way that they're looking at women, like just as an object, not as a person who got their own dreams, their own life, because they feel like women needs to do someone else's dream. Anyway, it's a big topic. I would really love to, check with you for this series. It's a powerful topic that you are sharing from your own experience and all the things that you have done. So for the women out there listening to you and going through this, tough times, what can they do from their own heart without we are not talking about going into divorce. Even if you are in a place in the hardest relationship, but you need to keep that relationship. What we can do as a person over the experiencing that.
Yeah. So basically, I believe completely in having a family unit.
Mm.
It's good for the whole family, good for the children, good for mothers, good for fathers. And that, but at the same time, if the mother is depressed,
Mm.
the children will become depressed as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so if the mother is having panic attacks, the children will become anxious as well.
Mm. Yeah.
And if the children see that there is abuse being perpetrated against their
Mm.
mother, they feel like they want to change the situation. They feel powerless and they want to change the situation.
Mm.
So they do it in two different ways. One is called externalizing behavior, so they become aggressive.
Mm.
So a lot of these kids we see on the street in gang wars,
Yeah.
little 14-year-old kids breaking into homes, are children of domestic violence homes.
Mm. Okay.
And what happens to the girls is that they become depressed, they internalize, they become depressed. But
Mm.
either way, the children stop uh, going to school or they don't do well at school.
Mm.
And so, what the most important thing that mothers can do is to go get your counseling, have a regular session with the counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, to start with, speak to 1800 Respect,
Mm. Yeah.
have regular sessions with them free of
Mm.
charge.
Yeah.
And if you are feeling desperate, you can go ring the orange door.
Mm.
And um, if you are having symptoms like you're not sleeping and you're not eating well and you're losing weight or you are eating excessively uh, or you're pregnant and going through this,
Mm.
uh, you must always tell your GP.
Yeah. Okay.
Always tell your GP. The GPs are trained to understand domestic violence.
Mm.
Always share it with them, even
Yeah.
if it's a little bit of abuse.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great message. So three things that I picked up: 1-800 Respect. They're providing free counseling. So you need to really go and get that free counseling. Next one is Orange Door, that we know that Orange Door is everywhere in Victoria in 4 different southwest, northeast. So you can go there and get help. And otherwise, the easy way is to go to GP and tell. Yeah.
Absolutely the easiest way.
Yeah. Okay, because it's a normal checkup for us. We are not going anywhere other than the normal practice. And I prefer, just to add into that from my experience, prefer to go to GP by yourself. Don't, you are an adult. You can really go and do your stuff by yourself. Yeah. You don't need to accompany your perpetrator so that you can share what's happening in that GP session. And then, as you mentioned, it's good to, know and share in the public that every GP is actually trained to identify the signs of family violence. So they may not be asking directly that as a family violence, but they may be asking the signs in different ways. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good way.
So if they ask you how things at home,
hmm,
tell them openly. Tell them
yeah,
on.
yeah,
That's such an easy thing for you to do at that time, But
yeah.
like I said, Bisme, it's so important to make those visits on your own.
Yeah, that's
And
the thing. Yeah.
and also because the Victorian law, the Australian law states that all medical information about you is confidential to you,
Mm, yeah.
right? So you make sure that you remember that, you use it,
Yes. Yeah.
that you have the legal right to have confidential
Um,
consultation with your doctor.
with yeah. And then you can really, like, if it is going out of other than you, I think because it's a law, you can really go against that issue, and then you will get the justice as well. So, I would like to thank you, Dr. Manjula, for your wonderful time. And it's a very informative session, what you're doing and why you did that. That's what I really loved, because the way the different world that you didn't know about India, that you've gone back and then experienced, and here helping all good Indians here. So whatever you heard about you, I would suggest, like, in back in our language, we usually say that the stones will come only to the fruits. So that means you have the fruit is there. That's why the stones are coming. So don't worry about the stones. It will go down. Your fruit is always,
Thank you.
fulfilling and then helping many people, including
That's
me. So
that's
I'm so
that's a
grateful.
very good. So can I just say one last thing?
Sure.
That I have written the book Daughters of Durga.
Yeah, I forgot to I ask about
Please,
you. Thank you for reminding.
please, can you share that, because I want every single Indian
Mm,
family to read that book. Please buy it,
sure. Yeah.
have it on your shelf, and if, for your children, or if you are studying, or if you are a worker, there are chapters on every aspect of life that you
Mm,
can read and learn from. And the book is, everybody loves the book, but
mm.
our Indian community are not buying it.
Indians are not liking Indians. If it is from like a Western order, like, and it will be like, selling out like a bestseller, right? That's the truth, Manjula. And, I highly recommend that book. And, I know that the judges and the people in the legal system are reading and
Yes,
even sharing that to other people. So I would comment that her book. I would be putting here the link under this video, and then you can find out that book, and then, should read
let
that
me
book.
let me see if I can bring it up for you.
Yes, please.
So share screen. I don't think. Actually, you can share screen by just Google Daughters of Durga, and you
Yeah.
can actually,
So
it'll
what
come.
I'll do, I will put that link under our video as well, and then put the screenshot as well, because I know that your cow page is also really really good one, putting up that Durga over there. Yeah. And I got comment about it because after your MRR program, people was people were telling about the program along with the book. So I mentioned this book to different people as well. So I highly recommend my listeners to put that book as your handbook for your life, and then find out what are the rights that you have and how you can raise your voice against this family violence. So
Yeah, I do get a lot of comments from
mm,
people, young women particularly,
yeah,
the book, to say
yeah,
that opens their eyes to what was happening around them.
yeah. Okay, yeah, of course. I will be taking charge of that one, Dr. Manjula. So thank you again for
Thank
having this conversation, like, it's an eye-opening for many different people, and it's not just a small thing what you're doing. So we highly, privileged to have a conversation with you in this series, and do what you're doing because you're doing it with your full heart, and we are confident that many people are getting benefited with
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Prisme, and happy Mother's Day to you and your listeners.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And my listeners, you were listening from Dr. Manjula O'Connor. She is helping her clients, her patients through her wisdom, but at the same time, looking after the whole Australasian people to come out of the family violence. And at the same time, if you are going through that one, reach out to her and then get empowered. And I'll be putting all the contact details for her right below. So this is Dominus Nisi, the series of my mothers in May 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.